right, so welcome back to the channel. My name's Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is Conversations with the Crawleys. We have conversations about faith, family, relationships, and we do recaps, reviews, and commentary on some of our favorite TV shows. This one is all about family or Fiancè, the latest one with Zuri and Jackie. Mm-hmm. So if this is content that you enjoy, and we know it is.
Oh, we know you
We
enjoyed
know.
it. Enjoyed it.
Hit that subscribe, hit the like, request notifications.
And share.
And we'll see you in the comments. And consider becoming a member by hitting the join button right there. Membership has its privileges. All of our members get special shout outs and lots of other things that are coming too. So make sure you do that.
Discounts on merch.
Yep.
You name it, I'm wearing it.
Members only live streams. Go ahead and do it. All right. So the premise, y'all know, family or fiance, two people that are getting married. Family is at odds on something, right? And
or the people are
at odds, or somebody at odds.
Somebody don't got it right.
So Jackie and Zuri, they are confident in their relationship, so they're good with themselves. It's some issues going on with the family, more so on the side of Jackie's family than on Zuri's side. Mm-hmm. Zuri's family is pretty much like, we like y'all good, just get your money up.
Right.
So there's some issue that I'm going to let her explain it because I was confused about the sister-in-law and the apartment and the flight attendant sister-in-law coming in. And
So far on this show, no one can articulate what the problem is with the family.
Right.
Or how it started. So their story gets so distorted
and muddled
that you can't understand it as a viewer.
Right.
And the life coach doesn't make them like, let's take another take.
Let's start from the beginning.
Because you're not making sense. Mm-mm. So you hear off the bat, she says her brother kicks her out. And then in the next statement, she's making that my sister-in-law won't put us on the lease. And so we feel like we have no control. And you're like, what? What happened? What? I thought you were kicked out.
Yeah.
Because that's your sister-in-law, that means married to your brother. But
that's typically how you have a sister-in-law.
But I feel like I figured out was that originally she was living with her brother. Mm-hmm. The brother met his girlfriend. A year and a half indicated they got together. Okay. And so the sister got kicked out of the brother's place. But the sister-in-law is a flight attendant and has a spot in New York. So when she's in New York, she stays in that spot. Yeah. But Jackie was saying they thought Jackie was going to be put on the lease. So anything that was going on with the spot, she felt like she had control over. But the sister-in-law never did that. And so when the sister-in-law comes in town because there's a layover or whatever, because she's a flight attendant, she calls last minute and say, hey, I'm coming by. I'm going to be staying the night because, flights are delayed or whatever. So Jackie and Zuri feels like, well, the house is not clean. It's not prepared for guests, even though it's the sister-in-law's place. Okay. So they were frustrated with not having control over the apartment. Now, you live in New York. You do anything to keep rent cheap. I get that. Yep. That it's expensive to live there. Yeah. So that's where I'm getting at the beginning where we feel the tension is. Yes. In the brother-in-law kicking her out. Now they live in the sister-in-law's place, but it's not really their place because their name ain't on nothing. So they feel like they have no control or can say anything. Yeah. All right. Yep. There you go.
So her family shows up. And her family shows up. So Jackie's family shows up. Zuri's family shows up. The sister-in-law is like, I've got a high and by relationship with Jackie.
They really don't talk.
They don't talk, what have you.
The families never met. Yeah. See, this is the red flag that's consistent in all these relationships. None of the families meet. And it's like, only you can reciprocate. Like, let's get the families together. And I don't...
Especially if everybody's in the same vicinity, right? I can understand. Like for us, my brother didn't meet you until he came down for our graduation and wedding, right? But my mom met you. My grandmother met you. I met your parents.
They came down to see me.
They came down to see you, so we met then. But I didn't meet your sister until
the wedding,
right? So I understand that if there is a difference as far as locations,
and it's expensive to fly people out.
But if y'all live in, for example, New York, or you all live in the same
Jersey.
state, your tri-state area, y'all can figure out a family reunion. Y'all can figure out something.
Have dinner over or something, right? Because you're saying that this is your forever person,
right?
Then I feel like there should have been time made for the families to get together, because what's happening is Zuri's talking to her family about Jackie and her family and getting a different perspective of what's going on than maybe what's truly happening.
Right. So, all right. So, they do have their moments. First of all, they talk with the therapist, with Tracy, and kind of lay out kind of the things that Tracy's like, okay, we're going to get you the healing you need this weekend.
Right, because Jackie says, hey, there's something that happened to me, and I need to tell my mom, and all these years I haven't shared with her.
Yeah. So then the family starts to, in the family meeting, they tell their concerns that they have for the wedding. And I forgot what the mom's was. Jackie's mom was basically like, I want y'all to be good, essentially, right?
Right.
Ashley was like, I want you all to get your individual happiness together and get your money up. Get your money together, because I'm kicking y'all out of apartment, so get your money together. And then the brother Justin is like, I just want y'all to know that there are some peaks and valleys in marriages.
Simple enough.
Very simple. Zuri's friend is, on Zuri's side, her friend is like, I want the families to kind of come together. I want you all to, again, be prepared for everything. The sister's like, I want Jackie to be more established. And then the mom is like, get your living situation together. Y'all ain't ready.
Right. And then consider, what's going on that you're not communicating. Mm-hmm. So Jackie, you're not communicating with your side of the family, which is now interrupting or is causing something with my daughter, Zuri, what's going on there. So resolve that so that everyone can be on the same page.
In the words of Janet Jackson from Why Did I Get Married To? Fix it!
Fix it! Just fix it!
Just fix it!
Just fix it!
I would love to see a Why Did I Get Married 3.
Really? What else can they say?
I don't know, but because that cliffhanger was just bad.
Oh, it was a very bad.
With The Rock coming in for some reason, marrying or dating Janet Jackson, that was they could have thrown that away.
I love The Rock though, but he could.
Yeah. I,
just saying.
Actually, I'm a fan of The Rock. All right, so then of course they make up these activities that are just sit with the other family members and let them ask you questions.
Communicate.
But they name it different things. I didn't catch the names this time. No.
Something about plan it and work it.
Whatever it takes, but it's played to me. All right, so then with Jackie, one of the things that comes up is, have y'all thought about moving away? And she's like, yeah, we thought about moving away.
She said Los Angeles.
Right. For them, it was when Jackie meeting with Zuri's family, Los Angeles was the place that came up. But when Zuri was talking to Jackie's family, it was Mexico.
I was like, y'all close, but you're off.
Yeah,
y'all around the same areas, but you're off. Like
you need a passport for one.
Well, if they're gonna live there, they're gonna have to get citizenship.
And you need a gun for both. But okay.
I was like, you have to become a citizen. Then people, there's a well, let me move on.
Listen, let's tell you this right now. If you get a passport, I don't know how it is where you are, but I was trying to get my passport because we're trying to make a trip and also plan in case we need to make a run for the border or
ourselves.
Make a run out someplace else. Listen, we thinking Ghana, South Africa, someplace. But if you need to get a passport,
you better do it now.
Do it now because it took us a month and a half to get an appointment to do the passport.
Do the passport.
That's free advice right there. That's why you come to this channel.
You just never know what you get now. About passports.
You're going to get some word here. You're going to get preached to. You're going to get some relationship advice. You're going to get some interesting singing, you're going to get it all.
So interesting.
So, Jackie also with Zuri's family talks about how she felt bullied by Ashley because there was a little skirmish or kick up in the kitchen when they all arrived, right? Mm-hmm. But she says she's willing to work out things with her brother, but she's not so keen on connecting things with her sister-in-law Ashley. Zuri, again, like we mentioned, with talking with Jackie's family, is talking about how she, wants to go to Mexico. That's the place, but they can't right now just because of money and it takes some planning.
And not established, yeah.
And then she tells Jackie's family that she doesn't feel like Jackie has her family's back.
Right, that they're not supportive of Jackie.
So then at dinner, they're kind of going back and forth about what
they were discussing earlier.
And the question again comes up about where y'all want to move. And Mexico. Zuri's family is kind of like, wait.
Mexico?
Where'd that come from?
Where's it? I thought we were talking L.A.
So then Ashley, the sister-in-law, starts, okay, well, what's in Mexico? Have you considered the cost of living? Do you know the pesos to dollar conversion? Have you started learning Spanish?
And I'm like, how old is this couple? Because they look older, maybe late 20s.
Late 20s, yeah.
So I was thinking, why are we talking to them like they're teenagers?
Right, like they just graduated high school.
Yeah, I was like, if y'all want to go to Mexico, y'all go right ahead. Like, y'all figure that out.
Yep.
Just don't ask me to come to kind of get you out of Mexican prison.
Nope.
That's the only thing I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So
you better call Tyrone or somebody.
So she's asking these questions. Like, to me, it sounded a little bit belittling. Like,
It was very somewhat condescending.
Yes.
Yes, it was kind of like, I've got to help you navigate this major life decision because I don't trust you to do it. But on the flip side, if you don't have your own place and you're trying to figure that out and you haven't figured that out, right? Then yeah, I could see kind of giving that, hey, you need to figure out what you're going to do when you get there before you get there because you ain't doing too well here in New York.
I agree with that. So I get both. I get what you're saying.
Right.
But there's a way to say that.
There is.
And feel like they're the adults that they are and make sure that you already got a bad relationship with her, right? So with that being the case, how can we soften it just a tad bit? But it just took her to 125.
Yeah, she was like, oh, there's a fork. She threw the fork at her.
And the brother was able to catch it right over his wife's head. He wasn't like protecting her face, like, it's back here.
Brother acting like Daredevil. He's like just catching.
Got like, whoop, that almost hit her. And we're like, and she's like, good try. But again, you didn't answer my question.
So yeah, Jackie storms out. Zuri goes to get her.
And she's like, she always does this. I'm like, she did something, but was it enough?
It wasn't to that level.
For you to feel like you're going to throw a fork? Okay. Because you could have hurt her. And he's like, I didn't want to. I didn't want to throw it. I wanted to stab her.
But you threw it.
I wanted to stab her. So she didn't say that. But I'm just saying, like, for you to go that extent.
Right. It was an unjustified reaction.
It was.
Based upon that. But now, understanding there's other trauma that's kind of feeding that.
Which we're coming to, right? Because the following day, it's when Tracy meets with the brother.
Right.
And Tracy's like, do you feel unsafe? I just need to know. Because if we got to stop taping if you don't feel safe. Oh, no, I'm good. Then why are we talking?
Yeah.
If you good.
Because he was like, look, I thought this was going to be productive conversation, but my wife getting a fork thrown at her, that don't sound too productive to me.
So I want to let you know that I know that what's going on ain't working the way you thought it was going to work.
Now, Tracy did say something that I thought was good. She did say something to the effect that before you can get to stabilization, there is going to be some destabilization. And so it's almost like it's instead of it's calm as right before the storm, the storm is raging before there can be peace, right? And so in some respects, this is what has to happen so that everything can come out.
Yeah, and I understand that, because especially when you're put off on edge, when people are in fear, if there's not flight, there's fight.
Right.
And so I get that. You got these things stirring up. You got all these feelings. You have this fear that you have to share all these very intimate things because you need to get it off your chest.
Yeah.
So you can be overreacting.
Very much so. So then Jackie and Zuri do go meet with Traci again. And so then we start getting to some of the root of the issue, right? So she talks about the abandonment that Jackie may have felt, right? She says that based upon some things in Jackie's life, she always kind of united herself with the stronger person. And that was her brother for the most part.
Correct. And the night of the fight with the fork, she was trying to figure out who actually kicked me out.
Right.
She's like, bro, was it you?
Or was it your wife?
Or was it your wife? And the wife was like, when we talked about this.
That was a him decision.
Who decided? He's like, I did. That was my decision.
Yeah.
And when that was reached, she was like, then I don't like the way you manipulate him. So whoa.
Right.
Whoa. First, you wanted to blame me for being kicked out.
Right.
That wasn't the reason.
Right.
Now you got a new reason not to like me because of this. As we get to this point with Traci, where she talks about being abandoned, my question is, how far does this abandonment go back? Was the brother near when she was in her trauma?
Right. Good
and
question.
and felt abandoned then and never protected by the brother?
Right.
Is that the real issue? And when she says she always attaching herself to the strong person, is Zuri the strong person for her in this relationship? Because it doesn't just extend to your family, it extends who you decide to have a relationship with.
Yes.
So that brought a question in my head too. So Zuri's the strong person for you. She's the strong person to help you relax when you're having these fights with your sister-in-law. In every instance, Zuri's the one that's being the strong person for you.
So,
I'm just saying.
We are amateur psychoanalysts.
I need to go back to my PhD.
Hey, go ahead and do it. I'm not, but go ahead and do it. You do it. All right. So, basically, Traci sets up for Jackie to meet with a trauma expert and then be able to share her secret with her mother. And so they meet with the trauma expert, and we find out that Jackie was molested when she was like 5 or 6. So at a very early age, right? She tells her mom, one of the things she says, she doesn't want her mom to feel like it was her fault. And her mom, as she's told, does feel like it was her fault. And I think every parent, in some respects, would feel like I didn't do enough. Maybe I didn't do enough to protect, whether it's valid or not.
Right, because even Jackie says, my mom gave me several opportunities to be able to share with her. And I decided to try to protect her instead of protecting myself. Yeah. And so, but yeah, as a parent, you never want to hear that the thing you've tried the hardest to do for your child, you couldn't accomplish it. Yeah. So they have their moment, and mom is definitely sensitive and being supportive. Right. So, because to me, this question about support is like, it's not about really support. It's more about her trusting the support that she has. Trusting the support she has, that what she's seeing won't let her down. Right. And so then they decide to bring the brother in.
And again, this is where the editing and how they cut this doesn't work for me.
It doesn't.
Because we were sitting there like, did she tell the brother about the trauma?
Because all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're good. Everything's... Because it was like she was more like very vague in that period when the brother came in. So it was like, did you share or not share what you've been through as a child? So... I think it's very important for them to indicate, depending on how deep she went, right? We don't know what she decided to share with the brother, but you would think it was just as simple as when she talked to her mother.
Right.
That is something that they could have put into the story.
Right. Because,
Because it was just like, I don't know, does he know or does he not know?
Right.
You know, because he didn't seem like really taken back by her pain.
Right. Where we're seeing him interact, we don't see the reaction that we might expect. Right. So then Jackie does also say, well, I need to talk to Ashley. So she talks to her sister-in-law, and she apologizes for throwing the fork. Evidently, Ashley also had been molested at some point.
Correct. And Ashley's like, well, I don't understand. Why couldn't you share your story with me?
Especially because I shared mine with you. So you had a place to at least, there's some commonality, there's a meeting point, if you will, in our lives.
That we could really come together. So I'm still trying to figure out what Jackie's true issue is with Ashley.
Agreed.
I don't feel like that was really addressed or pressed. So
I think it was addressed. I don't think that Jackie really dealt with it. When I say addressed, I think it was we see what it was, and it was the fact that she I believe, again, amateur psychoanalyst, I believe that Jackie feels as if Ashley took her brother away. And so for that, she feels animosity towards Ashley, period. No matter what Ashley does, no matter what Ashley says, no matter what they may have in common, because she, in her mind, took her brother away, she's now going to be angry with Ashley for the rest of their lives, or until she gets over that. That's just my thoughts.
I agree, because that's kind of how it ended.
Yeah. So they do sit down, or they do have their recap family meeting, and pretty much everybody gives their yeses except for Zuri's friend. Zuri's friend is like, y'all still ain't ready.
It's not the friend, it's the sister.
The sister, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, Zuri's friend was like, you got my blessing.
Yeah.
I just wanted y'all to get on the same page or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it was the sister was like, you know what? We didn't deal with the part you broke. And you gonna try to take care of somebody else.
Y'all ain't got your money up.
You don't have enough money. But they live in New York. I'm like, how much money, unless they doing job wise, everybody in New York broke.
Listen,
because I couldn't live there. I was like, y'all need to move somewhere. Move Maryland, Virginia, somewhere you will automatically get your money up because you ain't spending it in $3,000 worth of rent for half a bedroom, apartment. Half a studio. Mm-mm. So I get what they're saying. Like, hey. But if it's going to take more education, if it's going to take more things, you might as well say, let's save enough money and just move somewhere where the
cost of
living is a lot better.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how people live in New York.
No. Mm-mm.
So.
I mean, listen, there are people here in Phoenix that are trying to figure out how to live just because rents and homes have gone crazy here. So get your money up wherever you can get it.
Right.
Find you a hustle, find you a side hustle, find you 3 side hustles. Do something.
And I think that's what they're trying to say. But at the same time, I was like, how much more? Like, how well you doing?
They might be better off just hopping on a flight and going to Mexico and starting all over.
Right. Hey, but the thing is, or whatever they decide to do. Mm-hmm. But I get the point. You want anyone to be financially stable that's Absolutely. Taking on another individual.
Absolutely.
That's just life.
Right.
So hopefully they make those decisions. Obviously, as we see at the end, mm-hmm. Because everybody else give their blessing and everybody's smiling.
They take their family or fiance picture.
Right. And they decide to still get married. Mm-hmm. And then we get the credits rolling about where they are. Obviously, they're still not married.
Right.
And they did move into their own place in New York.
And hope to be homeowners within 2 years.
So... Again, which is a good thing.
Yes.
If you can save your money up and own.
Make it happen.
Make it happen. And so I think other than that, and guess what?
They ain't speaking with Ashley right now.
Right.
Things ain't working out. So
it's not working out because, again, it wasn't resolved.
No. Yeah. The issues were not really addressed and resolved.
Right. Because I get what you're saying. When they're addressed, that means we bring it to the forefront.
Right.
But it wasn't dealt with as you come. So
there's no closure, no finalization.
There's no closure. Yep. And we talked about this before. If yourself wasn't in a trauma state and you were a whole healed person, who would you be with? How would your family dynamics work?
Yeah.
And I think if any situation when you're talking about bringing someone else in your life, you need to make sure that you're a whole person so you can have a whole relationship. But as always,
you've been listening to this channel.
I have been listening.
All right.
I just always wish people well.
Yes. All right. Well, look, we wish y'all well. Y'all have a great one. We'll see y'all next time. Have a great one. Be blessed.